Welcome to this Taoist meditation session. The meditations I'm going to be presenting come from Taoism. You might be wondering why I'm talking about all sorts of things before doing the meditation. It is to give you a context and understanding why you're doing it so it can have a much better effect for you. Just sit straight, breathe, let your mind get quiet, go on to the meditation. Now, most people, when they think of stress, only think about it in their head. Now, although it's true that your body will produce all these chemicals and distorted neurons and all sorts of body physiology thing, most of us don't realize that if to reduce some sort of deep stress inside you, which I would have to say getting locked up in a small room for a while is a good way to have it happen. The latest thing on the news, which all you can have is compassion for these poor guys. In Alabama, there's a big prison, and they showed with bunks that were either 2 or 3, and the whole thing about stopping coronavirus from spreading is bigger social distance. They show a guy sitting up, and effectively, the bunks are only about as far as his elbows. He puts out his arm, but they're stopping way early. Now, you can see where in a prison where you're having, let's not get into whether they deserve to be in there or not, because I think that unless someone is a god, that's a pretty hard, absolute decision to make, especially given that prison reform has shown that many people who were in prison actually never did what they were accused of. Lots have, but lots haven't. And that is a real freak-out show. If they're saying, if someone's closer than, 6 feet apart from you, that virus can jump to them, and now they're getting at least one prisoner who's got the virus. Everybody in that prison has got to be terrified if they're going to get it next. Has to be. Takes an incubation period, but it's coming. So one of the things is this. In many circumstances, the way that most people experience extreme stress due to just the normal stuff of fast-paced society, things going faster than humans can take, is they really get it in their head. What they notice is just what's happening in their heads. But the fact of the matter is that most of the stress your body is getting is actually in the flesh of your body. So what you want to do is that now, as we're practicing, you want to try and get your mind to go deeper into that flesh. So instead of maybe only going this far, it goes that far. And in that way, your mind can start contacting where this incredible amount of stress is and begin to have your body wake up to the fact you have a body. And if you focus on it, you can dial down the stress with all the methods that we've done in the past, however many weeks we've been doing this. So, to have your body receive your mind, okay, like a guest into your house. For most people, they have their mind, and their body's almost like this thing that's way over there. Yes, our society praises people who are super athletes, but it doesn't really look that much at the relationship between the mind and the body. And there is more and more research coming out that which happens inside the body, extreme stressful cases, when they affect the body, they start developing into serious illnesses. So the coronavirus is a serious illness, but then again, so will all the rest of the illnesses you're going to get. And so the one trick is that you want to start getting your mind to start penetrating, and that is feel the inside of your body. Feel the inside of your body. Now, and the only way to do that, the only tool you have to do this, is to have a relatively calm mind, focusing on trying to feel inside your body and not being distracted by 100 other things, just sit on your body like a chicken does with an egg. Just literally just keep it on your body. And if you do that, what ends up happening over time, like just the way in which you drop a rock in the top of a pool, it slowly starts penetrating the water and going further and further into the body. Now, it doesn't say how much in any one meditation session it's going to go in, but if you start this process, then your body gets used to the fact that it can accept your mind going into it. And your mind, what you feel up here, can start accepting that what's happening into the body is making it feel different. When you get increased blood flow in your brain, you feel better. And likewise, if you get decreased blood and decreased oxygen into your brain, you feel a whole lot worse. So, one of the very big things that is terribly useful in terms of stress in general is that you have a vein that goes from here and it ends up going back to your heart through a bunch of things. And what that vein does, the subclavian vessel, is that it takes the excess blood that's in the brain and brings it back to the heart to get oxygen. But when it doesn't do that, it makes a person subliminally feel as though they're being choked. Because what do you call it when you take the oxygen away from someone? You know, you're deoxygenating them. If it's done by a body, you're choking them. And yet they don't know where it's coming from. They just know they're exhibiting the symptoms. They're getting tired, they're getting lazy, they're getting lethargic, they're starting to get pain, their eyes fog over, they can't focus anymore. But starting with doing it in this part of your head where your neck is hard. It's much easier when you do it from the big chunks of flesh you have. Now, most people do not notice that they're getting the irregular heartbeats that lead up to having a heart attack, sometimes a stroke, all sorts of heart problems. And yet, very often, the beats of their heart have been irregular for months. Very often, the blood flow going to and from the heart has been compromised for months, but they don't feel it. It might as well be happening to somebody on Mars. So what we're going to try and do is to start getting our mind to go in our body. So if things aren't working, you can feel it. And if things are working fine, you can feel that too. So this is some of the problems with the mind not being able to penetrate the body. All your early warning systems are taken offline. If you're sitting in this apartment, this house, this, confined, sequestered, socially isolated place, it would be really, really good if you could feel if something's going wrong with something inside your body. And the two big ones that you want to pay most attention to are probably your heart and your lungs, since they are the ones which cause the biggest troubles. So that's where we're going to go now. We went in this far, what we did. We just had to go from the skin to the bone. It's really not a lot of mass. Going in from your chest and feeling your lungs, that's actually a big distance. Going from your neck and feeling your heart, that's actually quite a big distance. Going from your heart to feeling what's happening to your liver, that's actually quite a big distance internally. Objectively, in terms of inches and centimeters, not so much. But in terms of your ability to feel what's going on, it's easier said than done. So just be prepared that at times you'll feel when your mind is penetrating, but then all of a sudden your mind goes, need a break, gotta stop, thinking about what's happening in my sister-in-law's wedding across the country. At moments like that, you stop paying attention to what's happening inside you. Well, you don't ever want to not stop that. Or at least you want to know, if you recognize you have been distracted, that you go right back there and feel it. Because if you can feel this stuff when it's starting, with modern medicine, It's easy just to clear a lot of it easily. But you let it go on for a long time, it's not so easy. All right? Now, so we start at the top of the head, and we just feel. And we just go down and we feel. What do we feel? And then maybe we go in a little bit deeper. What do we feel? Now, the way it's going to happen for most people is that they're not initially going to feel it like you can feel your fingers. They're going to feel something, or they're going to get the suspicion they're feeling something. But as you go a little bit farther, the suspicion that you're feeling something is going to develop something with tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of feeling. And then it's going to grow to more feeling and more feeling and more feeling until eventually you can start feeling the outlines of your internal organs, or you can feel the way pressures and movements of fluids are moving inside you. Now, you may not be able to know all the nice little scientific Latin words and Greek words that tell you what these things are, but you can feel it. You don't have to know what the name is, because if it's in Latin or Greek or Russian, just happens to depend in which social environment you learn the name of the words. But you go to where you can feel something, and then you start going in. And you start going down the face. Does anything inside your head feel funny? Does anything inside your head, when you're feeling a little bit deeper, feel in some way not quite right, out of sorts? Yeah, I don't know if this is right or not. Does it provoke those kind of questions in your head? Could be you have got something wrong. Could be you don't, but still you want to keep investigating. And maybe after doing this a few months, you'll pretty much be able to tell what's normal and what's not. Maybe you'll get it in the first week. Different people have different talents for different things. So then you start going down, and you start going down the face, the eyes, the cheeks. And then you especially pay attention to side of your neck, which is where the blood goes into your head, and here a little bit tighter in this area, which takes the blood out of your head. Takes it underneath your collarbones and then back towards your heart. Let your mind go quiet. Let it get more and more empty. And then you go a lot deeper. You go down more, maybe you go in just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. And if you go in a tiny bit, since there's more muscle, blood, and you know what in there are things to feel. Now, you can't say that your neck doesn't have lymph, that your neck doesn't have blood, that your neck doesn't have oxygen going in and out of its tissues. You can't, there's lots of things you know that are in that area. So, try them. But something, there should be a natural sense, without your body moving, that there is movement going down there. Remember, blood moves. The fluids in your spine move. Your cells move. But what is that like to you? There's good movement. There's not so good movement. But you got to feel for it for a while till you can get a bit of a baseline, like what feels like it's good for you and what feels like it's not. So then keep on going down your neck and go further. Now, although your mind can get very quiet and still, which is what you want, you still can feel what's moving in your body. I mean, if every cell in your body were to stop moving, you just die. You wouldn't have to worry about what could happen in the future. It will have already happened to you. But just to feel. The more quiet you get inside, the more you're able to feel what's happening inside of you. And you go down through the chest, side of your ribs, the back of your vertebrae. Who knows, one day you might be able to feel as deep as feeling your spinal cord. It can be done. Meditators have been doing it since before Jesus Christ was born. It's, you could say it's always been a popular human activity. And then you go down your chest. And you let go of any sense that you have to do anything or not do anything. You can sit down and listen to a quiet piece of music, and you don't have to exert any energy. You just have to stay awake to what you're hearing. Then you go down farther. And you get down to the bottom of the belly. Until you arrive at your lower dantian. And then you let your mind just stay there a little bit longer and just let your mind try to keep penetrating, going into. And as you go in deeper and you get quieter, it becomes a little bit like those science fiction movies where, these science fiction characters can walk through the walls of ships made of energy. And when you walk through a wall, there's a whole nother world of sensation on the other side of that wall. Is it a good heart, a bad heart? Your memories falling apart? Your physical strength leaving you? Is it a well of intelligence? Are there abilities to recognize things you just never could before, but because you went a little bit deeper inside yourself, all of a sudden you find you are able to be aware of them. Consciously and deliberately. But you let your mind just get more and more quiet, more and more still. And then you go through your hips and you feel what's in there. Many people from swimming or genetics or any kind of exercising, especially exercises where your body gets compacted, either running on ground or having a big someone hit your body in football, or tripping and falling down a mountain, or falling off a motorcycle, or you name it. Lots of things can compress your body. But can you start to feel how that body is compressed? So later on, you can apply your body's intelligence and just relax and say, let's start opening up. Let's start getting space between two things that are compressed. Or let your mind enter into where you have a nasty disease. And by having where that disease is, become more and more conscious, the way to get rid of that disease will just become obvious. And you keep on going down your leg. How far in can you penetrate? Maybe just to your muscles, but maybe that's enough for a leg that can't walk to begin walking again. And maybe much, much, much later in time, with more practice, you can go in your body and you can open up all the things that are messed up in your bones. Cracks, fluids that don't flow, cells that have stopped reproducing. But if you pay attention to them, it's been really blowing the mind of medical science for a lot of years, how people reverse diseases purely by literally thinking about it, becoming aware of it, and letting their whole being focus on these areas. Then cures start happening. And then down to your knees. Oh, so much stuff inside the knees. You know, it's not a super strong joint. It's mostly held together by tendons and ligaments and cartilage, which is really not very strong. But yet, babies grow cartilage, why not you? But that will happen, it will be because you put your attention on it. I had a series of car accidents that after being hit in the back 4 times, it was like an acid started going through the cartilage of my back, my spine, and the space, the discs just got eaten away, and yet I regrew them, fortunately, which is always a possibility when they regrow. They grew unevenly, so I had to have a very specialized operation. If the choice is between not being able to do anything or being able to do less, but you get by, well, get by. So again, you put your attention and you just have your mind penetrate. You don't ask your body to do anything. All you're doing is making a relationship between your body and mind and specific parts of your body which need help. Now, as you keep going down toward the middle of your shin, as you do this, the blood flow inside your leg is going to get better. Many, many diseases either are caused or get worse because the blood really does not flow adequately into a part of the body. And yet if your mind goes through your body, the blood flow usually increases. And you go down farther to your ankle. What's in your ankle? One of the important places is right behind your Achilles tendon on the bottom, is the big pumping station that gets the blood to go after the oxygen's been used up by the body using it everywhere, to get the flow reversed and to get the venous return to bring oxygen up the body and back toward the heart, where it gets rejuiced up, it gets refilled. Your gas tank gets filled. Your body gets the oxygen to fill up every place that needs it. But all this starts with just becoming quiet and just for feeling, becoming aware of what's actually happening to you. You get to the bottom of your feet. Can you feel the bottom of your feet? Can you feel them well? When you scrunch your toes and play with them, can you feel what's happening? Or is it like, not really? This is a problem many older people have, and many people who've had very bad accidents are left with. Now that you've gotten all the way to the bottom of your feet, just start from your hips and try and get your mind in a steady, even, rhythmic fashion. Go from your belly button all the way through your legs to the bottom of your feet, and then return from the bottom of your feet up to your belly button. But being consciously aware that this is going on. Doing what you can to consciously through a relaxed force of will, not a tense force of will, but a relaxed force of will. Just keep on repeating it again and again and again, so that each time you do it, your mind gets more comfortable with itself. Now, when this is over, if you feel you want to do this some more, maybe for another 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour or even an hour, as they say in Colorado, go for it. And don't stop just because I say the meditation's over. Just keep on continuing it. Become friends, become acquainted with what's happening inside your body. With that being said and done, we're going to stop now. Now practice for 5 minutes on your own. And if you want to keep on going for an hour, don't let me tell you not to after all, especially if you're locked inside your house. What else you got to do? You have the time. People normally say, oh, I don't have the time to meditate. I don't know when I can do it. Yeah, I think it'd be good for me, but I got to tell you something right now. Almost everybody's supposed to be staying indoors. You know, you got the time to do things you've always wanted to do but never had the time to do. So it's one way you can make lemonade out of lemons. And I don't think anyone's going to say that this virus is a great thing. You know, it's sour like lemons are. But still, if you learn and are able to go inside and communicate with your body in a positive way, so that eventually you can learn how to have your body help unravel the problems that come up in your mind. This time you've had to take off will be one of the greatest gifts you had in your life. Thank you very much, and thank you till the next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you found this helpful. If you like this, go ahead and click subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.